Hey everybody, thanks so much for checking out this tutorial with Airtable. They have been a great partner to Superpath. I'm so excited that they are supporting this community. Airtable is a really powerful tool. It's a tool that I've used to build content calendars since 2017 or so. They're right at the forefront of the no-code trend. If you haven't built bases in Airtable before, I'd recommend trying it out. Like, as someone who's not technical, I can't write code. It's so much fun. It's so empowering to go and build things that, create these functionalities and these workflows that otherwise you would need to be able to program to do. So for the non-technical folks, if you want to own your own workflow, Airtable is just really a fantastic way to do that. I wanted to also let you know that Airtable is offering Superpath members, subscribers, and readers $500 in credit towards their Airtable account. So the premium plans are between $10 and $25 a month. $500 is going to take you a long way. That gets you all the automations. It gets you unlimited bases. It gets you extra storage. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. If you do want to redeem that offer, again, it's $500 in credit towards Airtable's Pro plans. Just go to airtable.com/superpath. Thanks so much for checking this video out, everyone, and take care. Whatever, all the million different things content teams do over and over and over again. This kind of thing it saves so much time. And the other, I'll stop in a second. But the other thing is, when you become the person at your company that knows how to do this, it puts you in a position of leverage, because not only now do you kind of understand the subject matter, but you understand the workflow, and those two things work so nicely together. Sorry, I'll jump off that.
No, I love it. That's absolutely right. And again, just like non-technical person, I just felt that amazing.
That's awesome.
Enough about automations, though. I could dork out about these all day. The other thing that I wanted to show in my base, and this will then take us over to how we use Airtable as a team at Airtable, is this little table, which are my to-dos. Now you can see this cool lightning bolt tells you this is a synced table, meaning that this information is actually pulling in from somewhere else. In a second, I'm going to show you our marketing HQ base, which is where we keep all of our super collaborative work and track all of our quarterly planning, down to every last step of every single deliverable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, everything happening in this base is all just you. It's your own work. You've built this for your workflow.
Exactly.
But you can pull in stuff from a base that is shared by an entire team, so that you have the views, or can create, prioritize your to-dos or whatever based on what other people are doing as well.
Exactly. So if you are just using Airtable by yourself, if you haven't got your team on board, but you want to leverage all that goodness, you absolutely can. You can build your own base. You can send that form to anyone you want, and you can manage your workload and your reviews in that way, and all of those great automations. But when you start to get your whole team using Airtable, that's where things I think get really exciting and interesting. And to sort of get us into that base, I thought I would show how I'm bringing this data in.
Yeah, that's cool.
And a cool thing, so these are all like reviews and tasks that I have in here. I can merge these two together if I'd like. I could create a table that includes information from both of these. And another cool thing is that you can see these lightning bolts. These are all showing that this is porting in automatically from another base. I've also included my own little metadata here, which is my own priority. So I don't need, maybe I don't need Kyle to know that this is a medium priority for me. But maybe when I look at these three and I have to assign priority, and this copywriting task is actually my highest priority for the week or the day. So I can add this sort of personal custom data to help me navigate my own workflow. I could also do something like, okay, these are due the 13th, the 15th, and 19th. I want to do them earlier. Again, that's kind of personal information that I think I can finish them a little bit sooner. So I could add another field for like MJ due date, for example, and just kind of track against my own deadlines without compromising this like shared data.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. I feel like it's worth pointing out too, just quickly, that the field formatting in Airtable is very different than Google Sheets, like if that's what people are used to using.
Yeah.
Where like some of these fields look like it's just text, right? But some are like you
Right.
created your own drop down bar and then decided, which items live in that drop down bar. The
Yeah.
date ones are nice too, because then you can run formulas to, check out your timeline, see how long things are taking, stuff like that. You can actually tag individuals, like that
Yep.
collaborator field.
Collaborator.
Um, so,
Yeah, and
anyways,
there are a couple like, yeah, that's a great one to point out. That was definitely like a paradigm shift for me when I started really like power using Airtable, was to understand how those fields map to everything else. There's two ways into it. You can just add a field and go through any of these. You can also open up this whole record. So I can open this up and I can see all of the metadata in here. And I can add fields using this big record too.
hmm,
So it's all about like the way that you prefer to look at the data. Um,
right.
but this is like all of the information that's pulling in. So some of these records can get really intense because there's like years of information in them. It's really and that means whatever it is you're looking for, whatever piece of data you want, it does exist in there somewhere, which is
Yeah,
really
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. One other just quick thought on that is like, say you create a drop down to track status or priority, you
or
can then kind of pivot off that to build a Kanban board or some other
yeah,
view that is built specifically around that particular data point, as opposed to like in this particular view, it's built around it, it looks like a spreadsheet, it's built around the name of that individual task, but that's only in this case that probably makes the most sense, but there's other ways to go about doing it too.
oh
I
yeah,
know I'm getting you like way off track from what you're actually
no, no,
showing us.
no, no. But like just for your example, so here's a Kanban board grouped by priority. Like, and that was 2 clicks to do, right? And now I'm seeing like, oh, I haven't categorized these. This is high, this is medium, this is low.
And
Boom.
then when you
That's
click it, it's the exact same record that we just looked at
yeah,
previously. Right.
exactly. Exact same record, just organized in a different way.
That's awesome.
And if I said, oh, this is like a great view, I want to save it, like I might name it something. I might send it to someone. So now I've got this way of organizing my data that's always there and I can share with
Awesome.
anyone. Yeah, so we can obviously like go on tangents all day. Cody's like, when am I going to tell my part? So I'm going to take us over to where this data is actually pulling from, which is our marketing hub base. This is our team base. This is what we all use together. And we are all in and out of this space all day, every day. And I thought I would start with something that is really important to me as a content strategist and a content marketer and a manager of a content team, which is understanding how my work maps back to my company priorities and my team priorities. You're in the weeds on a blog post, or you're in the weeds on a case study, or you're in review on a video. It's really good to know when I finish this, I will have contributed to this goal. And it's also really nice to be able to say to your leadership, hey, this is important because it maps back to XYZ. So the way that we use this on our marketing team is we use a few different tables. This is our objectives table. So every objective is recorded in here at the beginning of the quarter as part of our planning. And let's see, let's collapse them all so you can see them all together. This is actually grouped by team. So we could group it by a number of different things. We could show it by, we could say we actually want to group it by objective, right? And maybe I will collapse these so you can see them all. So these are like the types of goals that we have as a team, right? Where it gets interesting is then each of our projects is mapped to one of those objectives. So you shouldn't be working on a project that does not relate to an objective, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So each of these projects has a related objective, and that is linked back to this table. So if I go into, let's say I go into this objective, which is to build key content team foundations, really important for my team. I can see all of the projects that we're working on. So this is giving me the information over here in that project table. I know this is like a little heady, so I'll try to go slow. But this is showing me those projects. I can see them right in here. I can also see like a description, any metadata that's important to me. Here's the related marketing objective. So I have content team objectives and I have marketing team objectives. It's complicated, but you can see how it all needs to ladder up together.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really cool.
it's really, it's we're just gonna say empowering 100 times, and I apologize, but it is like it does really give you tools when you can say, this is the objective this maps to. This is the company goal that this maps to. It's in this record. I can reference it anytime. We've all agreed that it belongs here, right?
Right.
Um,
I've never seen objectives mapped in this way. Like it's kind of a nice uh like very literal check against the work that you're doing. Like it's not that difficult as a marketer to find yourself like chasing a shiny object. And this is like a nice way to check like, okay, this is where this fits in.
yeah,
And then two, and I think you'll probably talk about this, there's visibility here for
yeah,
leadership.
yeah. And it really becomes a forcing function, right? If at the beginning of every quarter I have to put things in this space, that means that everything I put in this space has to map to an objective. So if I
Mm,
have a pet project and I'm not really sure where it goes, my quarterly planning and my Airtable process gives me this moment to pause and say, like, okay, does it still make sense for us to do this? Do we need a new objective? Like if it's really important, but it doesn't map to our current objectives, maybe something's missing on the objective side. And it really enforces this like very clean, interconnected way of thinking about your specific deliverables alongside your goals.
that's cool. That's cool. I
Yeah.
love it. Quick question: who manages this particular base? Because this is obviously like it's a big one. A lot of people are
Yeah.
in here. I assume this is like one person's responsibility to kind of own this.
Yeah, we have a couple we have a couple of folks who are really like Airtable wizards and just like love organizing bases. Cody here on this call is responsible for a lot of the scripting that goes into this space, which he's about
Mm,
to show you. Someone on my team who's like an amazing production powerhouse kind of thought through what the task project, like the task workflows should be. We all contribute to this space every day. And because I would say we're a little unique because when we are dorking out about the product, we also know it's helpful to our customers.
yeah,
There's like a constant like, oh, we should figure out how to do this so we can show it to them.
yeah,
So we're very motivated to spend time in the base. But I would say in general, having at least one champion who is really game to like experiment and build within the base, we've seen that is like one of the keys to folks being really successful with Airtable.
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, when I was at Animals, which is the content marketing agency I worked at previously, we ran the entire company on Airtable. So
Mm-hmm.
we did use it for all of our content workflows, but we also used it for HR. We used it for hiring. We kept track of salaries. And it was interesting because because of the collaborator field, you could tie an individual's name to their salary history in the company, all the work that they've ever done, pieces that they've written, pieces that they've edited. You could see which customers they're currently working on, previously worked on. Like it was everything was in there. And we actually had one person whose almost full-time job
Mm-hmm.
was managing that. I mean, and it really was the entire company on there. So it was sort of
That's
required, but
amazing. I love that story. And what's nice is that person again does not have to be a super technical person.
right.
It just need to be someone who really understands how workflows function. And is close to those processes and can help optimize them. And we'll be thinking about, oh, we could automate this part. Oh, this should actually be linked to this table.
Mm-hmm.
And there are plenty of amazing folks who love doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've started to talk about like content operations as really the name for a person who does that around
Mm,
deliverables and around production, which is kind of like I would say 10 years ago, either that title didn't exist or it would have meant something really different.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think there are like new jobs coming out of this way of working, and it's been super interesting for us to like be on the forefront of that and see that play out.
That's really cool.
Okay, I'll keep moving. The
So
last
I know.
piece,
Sorry, I keep taking you
no,
off
no,
track.
no, this is great. Please continue interrupting. The last piece that I wanted to show, because we talked about projects and how they map to objectives. And this is where like the content folks are probably like, spending most of their day, and the people on my team are spending most of their day. And that's in our deliverables field. So basically, we've got a ton of different views in here. But the one that I wanted to show is our launch view. So this is like a pretty common use case. You're planning a launch, you've got all this content. Um, how do you track it? How do you make sure everything's like actually going to ship? What I've always done in the past is like I would create a launch tracker, right? Like I would say, okay, it's time for my launch. Here's my launch tracker. The way that we do this in Airtable is a little bit different in that we are referring back to our base of deliverables. We've already got all the deliverables planned. And so we're not going to create a new base or like a new tracker. We're just going to create a view of our deliverables that's filtering in. As you can see using this filter, the indication that it's for this launch coming up, right? So we've just got a really simple checkbox. Everything that's for the launch is checked off in here. And that's giving us this beautiful view that's just of our launch plan. So this is now what we're using to track our launch. And we actually added a bunch of new fields for our launch because there's a level of granularity and there are some aspects, there's some data pieces that we need for something specific to a launch that we don't need for our typical deliverables. So for example, we have project briefs. We've got this concept, we've got an exec approver, which like most of our content our CMO does not need to look at, but because it's around this launch, she does. We've got some pieces around like the kinds of statuses we want are a little bit different for a launch. Like this is a lot more granular than we would typically need, but for this upcoming launch, we need to get really specific. And we even have this concept of like, is it on track? Because
I
that's
like that.
the number one question that we're hearing from our exec team is like, are these things actually on track?
Oh yeah, I like that as like a secondary layer of status.
Yeah, you just need more. And we've got this launch category. We've got a bunch of like new fields that we don't typically need. But this is all these the thing that I want to stress here is like this is not new. These are not new records. These are not new. We didn't duplicate like this blog post, for example, only exists in one place, which is really this record. We've just created a view that filters in exactly what we need to understand our launch progress. So you can see there's like all of this different data in here. And this is what I actually need for my launch every day. And this is how we're actually going to run, for example, like a launch kickoff meeting or a launch check-in meeting. And that's just one way that you might use views within Airtable to get at the information you really need. Any questions on that one, Jimmy?
I don't think so. I think it's cool. I think the thing that stood out to me the most that you just said was that nothing is duplicated. I think that's really important. It's like a little, I think I definitely found this when I first started using Airtable. It's a little difficult to kind of visualize how a record exists in multiple places, but looks a little bit different. And I think for me, it just took a little bit of practice, like playing around with it to like really internalize it. And once you get that, it's like this entire base becomes a lot less complicated looking.
Well, and like the benefit is that, you know, if I'm in this demo center, so this is Cody's baby, as you can tell, and I go into this record and I'm like, you know, like just like causing chaos. I'm just changing things around in here because I know a deadline needs to be adjusted. First of all, that's all going to track over here. So anything that I do, Cody will know that I did.
Got it.
So I can't cause too much chaos. But if I, you know, if I change a deadline or I add a brief or I add a collaborator in here, that's also going to show up in our launch view. So it's the same record. I don't need to go make sure that I need that update everywhere. It's just, it's been updated everywhere it exists.
Right.
And for something, you know, in content production, there's so many moving pieces. It is such a pain point to have to update multiple things. Just knowing that doing it once does it everywhere and there's a record of who did it and when, so much peace of mind for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's one thing that I keep comparing to Google Sheets, but I feel like that so many content teams that I've come across use Google Sheets, and you just that like contextual layer of like who's doing what just doesn't exist.
Yeah, and like a nice thing too, that like talking about Google Sheets reminds me of is like I can also comment in here, right? Like,
oh, that's cool.
If I like want to do some, if I want to be like, you know, Cody, like this is bad, you know, I can just like make that comment and he'll get pinged, right?
Right.
It's actually good. Now he knows how I feel about it. And there's my little comment right there. But on that note, I do want, like, I'm going to turn this over to Cody to get into some really cool scripting and some really cool processes that we've built. So
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to stop my share.
Thanks so much for checking out that video. Just a quick reminder, Airtable is now an official partner of SuperPath. As part of that, they're offering a $500 credit towards their pro plans. To redeem that, just go to airtable.com/superpath. Thanks so much for watching and take care.